Yorkers have 15 days until they choose their next mayor. The race is tightening after last week's heated debate between the three candidates. New Fox News polls show Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani still with a commanding lead of 52%. Independent Andrew Cuomo trailing at 28%, while Republican and independent Curtis Sliwa sits at 14% right now. However, we've got a new poll showing trouble for Mamdani if it were a two-man race. This poll claims that it would be a virtual dead heat between Cuomo and Mamdani if Sliwa dropped out. Now, Curtis Sliwa has made it clear he is not dropping out. He has no intentions of it, and he is pushing for Andrew Cuomo to drop out instead. Joining me now, the man himself, New York City mayoral candidate and Guardian Angels founder, Curtis Sliwa. Curtis, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. You've got another debate coming up this Wednesday. Early voting begins on Saturday, October 25th. What's your reaction to these polls, and how are you feeling about this race?
Well, if you looked at the last debate, everybody said that I won it overwhelmingly. You had Zohran Mamdani, who was a drone. Everything was affordability. And Andrew Cuomo was no energy Andrew. He was like, I'm telling you, it's like he's got no gas in the tank. He hasn't been on the campaign trail for 8 days. You have to be out there amongst the people. And I have momentum. In fact, Andrew, who lost the Democratic primary handily, even though he was ahead by 40 points against Zohran Mamdani, he should be the one to drop out and allow our Republican principles of law and order, cutting taxes, preserving a quality of life that was brought to us by Rudy Giuliani, who, by the way, is supporting me, and George Pataki, by the way, who is supporting me, and an economy that Larry Kudlow says I would be the best mayor for to revive the city of New York. So you have three people who have led many, many leaders down the road of improving life in New York City who are endorsing me. And all of them are saying that Andrew Cuomo doesn't have the energy, the vision, and has been the architect of the destruction in the state, and his apprentice has been Zohran Mamdani.
Well, I wonder if President Trump's support would make this race significant in terms of movement. I spoke with the president yesterday, and I asked him whether he's going to endorse anybody in this race. Watch this. Are you going to endorse anybody in New York?
Well,
Cuomo or Sliwa?
yeah, I guess I haven't made a decision, really.
Sounds like you're leaning towards somebody.
Well, I think it's not good to have a communist, okay? Would I rather have a Democrat than a communist? Barely. They're almost becoming the same thing.
What about a Republican, Curtis Sliwa?
Well, you know, look, I mean, I don't know. He's a Republican. Is he really a Republican? You know, am I a big fan? This isn't exactly ideal where he wants to make Gracie Mansion a home for the cats. So I'll make a decision.
Soon?
Yeah, I guess.
It's only 3 weeks away. The mayor's race is 3 weeks away.
I don't know that I'm going to get involved.
Curtis, your reaction to what he said about the cats in the mayor's house, Gracie Mansion, and also he's questioning whether or not you're a Republican, Curtis.
Well, Maria, very respectfully towards the president. By the way, if you saw that debate, I was the only one on that stage defending President Donald Trump. He was being double-teamed by, again, the architect of our destruction in New York State, Andrew Cuomo, and his apprentice, Zohran Mamdani. They both couldn't wait to attack Donald Trump. I defended him in that debate. But on the matter of animals, I wonder if the president knows, and Maria, you were there in the White House, that Teddy Roosevelt, one of the greatest Republican presidents of all time, I think we can all acknowledge that, had 40 animals at the White House, 40, and would rescue animals. And to her credit, his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, a great woman, is part of the Big Dog Rescue Ranch in Florida, and she herself has rescued dogs and adopted dogs out and fostered dogs out, like my wife, Nancy, who has devoted so much of her life to rescuing cats who would have been euthanized in shelters, like hundreds of thousands of Americans who love their pets, who consider them family members. I know the president has not been a guy who's had pets growing up, and that's okay. There are a lot of Americans like that. But I wish he wouldn't make fun of what we have done in our life, because Mahatma Gandhi said, a society that does not take care of its animals does not take care of its people. Look at New York City, with our homeless, our emotionally disturbed, our veterans, that both Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani would rather spend money on the migrants, people we don't even know, than our own. I'm the only candidate saying it's time to come home and take care of our own who are in need.
Okay, fair enough. Curtis, you said you won the debate. Let's take a look at the big event as what you said about the president. Here we go. Watch.
I've had a love-hate relationship with Donald Trump that goes back over 30 years. But I know one thing. We have Andrew Cuomo. We have Zohran Mamdani. They want to take on Donald Trump. Look, you can be tough, but you can't be tough if it's going to cost people desperately needed federal funds. Zohran Mamdani, the president, has already said he's going to take $7 billion out of the budget right from the start if you're elected mayor. People are going to suffer in this city. People who need those federal funds. What I would do is sit and negotiate. If you try to get tough with Trump, the only people who are going to suffer from that are the people of New York City.
Okay. Curtis, tell us more.
Look, the toughest guy on that stage, based on my life, is clearly Curtis Sliwa, combined for Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. But you can't beat Donald Trump. You can't rub and bump shoulders with him and expect to come out a winner for the people of New York City. What Donald Trump, as our president, has always done, he makes a statement, and then he's willing to have his minions come and negotiate with you and figure out what's in the best interest of New York City. He loves New York City. I know that, having grown up in this city myself. I'm the only genuine New Yorker. They tried to kill me in New York. I'll be buried in New York. I'm the only legitimate New Yorker who understands this. You don't take on Donald Trump or the city will suffer, and that's the kind of mayor I'll be.
Curtis, how much power does the mayor really have? I mean, are you really going to be able to cut taxes? Isn't all of that coming from Kathy Hochul?
Well, some of it, but you can cut property tax right away. In fact, I will make it so that for senior citizens who are 65 and older, they will be paying no property tax. I believe in prove, don't move. I want to keep them here. Okay. And for young men and young women, 19 to 28, who have just graduated college here and have the skills that our industry needs, a holiday from income tax. They shouldn't have to pay because they're fleeing too. They're migrating out of this state. We must cut taxes. If we don't cut taxes, our budget is bloated. We will be fiscally dissolving. And then you will see if Andrew Cuomo would have won or Zohran Mamdani would have won, they would blame Donald Trump for all of this. You know they would do that, Maria.
All right.
No, I know what needs to be done to get this house in order, just like Rudy Giuliani, who endorsed me.
Curtis, bottom line here, we just saw this bombshell poll that pits Cuomo against Mamdani in a dead heat if you step down. Will you step down out of this race?
Absolutely not. We have a vote in more than 2 weeks. I have supporters. I have 11 headquarters. I have more money that's been donated to my effort locally with matching funds. So let the people decide who the next mayor is. I would suggest to Andrew Cuomo, he actually get into the streets and start campaigning. He's been missing in action and spending all of his time trying to suggest to people that I drop out. 1,000 times I've said it. I am the Republican candidate. He is an independent candidate. I represent the values of the Republican Party, and I'm in it to win it.
And by the way, I spoke with Andrew Cuomo about 2 weeks ago, and I put the question right to him about cashless bail. You say a lot that cashless bail is his fault. Here's what he told me about that. Watch this.
The cashless bail law that I passed was 6 years ago, Maria. They changed it about 4 times since then. So whatever changes they wanted to make, they have made. And I think what New Yorkers are looking for is they want a competent official who can get the city in order, who can run the city.
Curtis, your reaction.
He is the reason that we lock up toothpaste in New York City and not criminals. He is the author and architect of no cash bail. He doubled down on it in the primary. His apprentice for no cash bail that has caused this crime crisis is Zohran Mamdani, the only candidate that opposes no cash bail, Curtis Sliwa. Raise the age, which has turned juvenile delinquents out there to drive-by killers, is Cuomo and Mamdani. And closing Rikers Island, where you're going to put prisoners. Cuomo was the first to advocate as the architect, close Rikers Island, and his apprentice is Zohran Mamdani. I'm the law and order candidate. I'm the Rudy Giuliani of my lifetime. I'm the Republican, and I will ride this to victory and save New York City.
Curtis, thank you very much for being here this morning, making the case. Curtis Sliwa.